What's up? Welcome to episode, can you believe it, 20? 20? Episode 20.
Wow.
Of Film Fights with Friends.
Who would have thought, man?
And I'm Stephen Kiefer.
And I am Paul Veracci.
And we are your hosts for this journey today.
This is gonna be a fun journey.
Yeah, fasten your seatbelts, dude.
Journey's a good ride.
You cannot enter this ride.
Journeys are good
if
rides.
you are below this height.
You
like that?
I do like,
you like that.
That
the
fits
reason,
perfectly.
The reason that's good is because we have a stunt coordinator on today, Larry Rosenthal from LA, and he coordinates. I mean, he coordinates adult stuff too, but he coordinates a lot of
kid stuff.
Kid stuff.
Shows.
Nickelodeon, Disney.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the intricacies and the process of coordinating fights and stunts when you're working with kids.
Yes.
Which I think is, I haven't really quite ever heard a podcast or even just a show on this topic, really.
I mean, I haven't, which is kind of great because I have so many questions to ask and it's so fun.
Yeah.
So it's not so fun. It's so funny that I think half of them are stupid if I ask them about adults.
Yeah, totally. But it's interesting because if for the listeners, if you go back and listen to the episode with Sherry Renee, she got her start on kids shows, and she talks a lot about the process of how they would shoot it Monday through Friday, almost like a day job.
Yeah,
the studio run through, the cast run through, all these different aspects of shooting a kids show. So I'm really interested to hear about it from the stunt perspective. You know,
I mean, the one question I guess I have, you know, we'll find out, but is at what point do you say that the kid can't do it? Like, what are the rules?
Yeah.
Like, is there a hard line? Is there something it's right here? It says that they can't do this stuff.
Actually,
or is it up to the court? Like, you know, I don't.
We'll definitely get that from Larry because I looked that up recently myself in the SAG-AFTRA contract.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that says a child can't do stunts on their own, but it's really up to, from what I believe, and we'll clarify this with Larry, is the stunt coordinator has to assess their ability and safety, and then of course the parent has to sign off on it. The parent or guardian has to sign off on it. It'll be interesting. Like, what is Larry's threshold? Like, when does he decide? Like, okay, we need a double for this kid, you know. But there's a pretty cool fight scene in a show that he coordinated for Nickelodeon called Cousins for Life. And it's a cute fight scene. And I'm curious about how he approaches doing fight scenes with kids.
Yeah. I mean, this is the looks like the Power Rangers.
It's like a kind of a knockoff Power Ranger
fight. Yeah.
The green Ranger
and
versus yellow Ranger kind of. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I liked it because it's one of the few fights where you actually looks like the kids are doing the moves.
Oh yeah, I think those kids were totally doing them.
No, they were.
Yeah,
I mean, but I feel like a lot of times, and again, we can talk to Larry about this, that it kind of cuts to a little bit of a far away, and you see a lot of fight from the back.
Well, he sent us the Emmy reels for another show. He did 4 seasons of this show called Austin and Ally on Disney.
Right. And
it looks like one of the characters there is like a tricker or a gymnast or something. And that clearly is not the kid doing that stuff.
Yes.
You know, what I love about the kid shows is I obviously don't watch a lot of kid shows, but I watched a bunch to prep for this, and they get to do all the classic
gags,
slapstick gags,
the slips,
slips, back falls, basic wire gags, pulls, suspending on a wire.
The jumps over the bar, the piano, the table.
Yeah, throwing through a
chairs.
table. Like, yeah, all the classic comedic falls. I mean, on 3 different shows, I saw the gag where the car crashes through the wall into the studio. From obviously, it was like set up outside the wall, but like 3 different shows. So it's these common things.
So many of the banana peel fall.
Yeah, totally.
I like to call it.
Yeah. It's very cool. So I'm very curious. It's almost, I feel like, the hidden history of stunts in a way. Like all the classics are in there. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. Like I'm very excited to talk to Larry. I mean, he's been in like everything himself. He's been in like a bunch of the Transformer movies as a performer. Star Trek, you know, Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, like 30 episodes or something, and like all those military shows out there, Navy SEALs and The Last Ship.
The Unit.
He was in The Unit. He doubled Tony Shalhoub.
That's right, and Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is another movie that is absolute fucking insanity.
Yeah.
If you go back to last week's episode, want to talk about the only difference between that is this movie is true.
Yeah. So he's been in a ton of shit. He's been in the business for like 25 years. He's a governor, one of the co-governors of the Television Academy Stunt Peer Group. He organizes the Stunt Softball League out there in LA.
That's where he's coming from for today.
Yeah. He's coming right from a game to this show. And then he's been for like 15 years running the Stunt Memorial.
Yes, which you help him edit, right?
Yes, I edit them with him. I've been editing with him for about the last 5 years. I think that's how we kind of officially spoke off of off Facebook or what, you know what I mean? Paul Dressler Martel was editing it before I took over.
Okay.
So he was doing it for a bunch of years and then passed over the torch to me.
Nice.
And so I think I've been doing it for about 5 years.
Cool.
Yeah. So how's your week, dude?
My week's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Getting excited. Comic-Con's coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm gearing up for that. I've made some tweaks to my Iron Fist cosplay. I'm
nice.
pretty excited about, and my lovely wife helped me.
You bring out the Iron Fist. You are the Iron Fist at Comic-Con New York. Like, there's no better Iron Fist than yours.
Oh, thanks, man. I try.
Yeah.
I try.
Well, the glowing fist.
Well,
the glowing fist is like.
So, yes, I am the only one that literally reached out to an FX guy and had him make me a silicone mold with glowing lights in the fist. So I actually have a silicone full hand that goes up to my forearm.
Yeah.
And then the whole front of it lights up and glows, and it's got like 10 different glow settings.
I think you send. We'll drop some pictures in the video so people watching this can see for sure. It's pretty cool, man.
But you know what I also realized I can do with that is I can get a set of red overalls, put on a white shirt, and get a Mario hat, and I can be Fire Mario.
Yo, so what I'm excited about this week coming up, which I've happened already by the time this airs, but the Museum of Moving Image is having the Frank Oz retrospective.
Oh, and we're going.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to see Muppets Take Manhattan with my wife, and Frank Oz will be there in attendance for Q&A. And then in a couple weeks, you and Jamie and Chris and I are going to see Dirty Rotten Scoundrels with Frank Oz and Steve Martin in the house.
So amazing.
I can't wait.
That's going to be so good.
And then next month, I'm going to see Empire Strikes Back.
I'm going with you to that one, too.
Oh, yeah. Next, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, just you're coming.
Yes.
And then Empire Strikes Back, you and Jamie are both coming. Yes. So, I mean, it was like so many movies, so many great movies. It's like I would go to all of them. Mm-hmm. But, just an unofficial endorsement for the Museum of Moving Image. If you're in New York City, you must go to that museum. It's right next to Kaufman Astoria Studios. It is literally like it's a film history museum. And it's interactive. There's so much interactive stuff. But they also have movie screenings going on all the time.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, this is. I actually joined as a member because it paid for all the discounts on these tickets paid for itself.
And Dirty Rotten Scoundrels
that's one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites.
How many times do you watch that movie a year, do you think?
A year? It's more like, do I not watch it once a week?
Yeah.
The answer is probably no. I watch that movie at least once a week.
Man, if only Michael Caine could be there too.
Oh, man.
But still, Steve Martin, it's going to be great. Frank Oz. And we've talked a lot about Frank Oz in here with regard to American Werewolf in London.
Well, I mean, Frank Oz is...
Yeah, man.
He's Frank Oz, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. And you want to know what's funny is when I was growing up, he was in so many movies and he had so many cameos. For some reason, when someone says like Frank Oz and you picture what this guy would look like, it's not what Frank Oz
really looks like.
It is. So when I found out that that's who Frank Oz was,
right?
The guy with the receding hairline and the glasses and the mustache, I went back and I rewatched so many movies that now are just
like, oh my god, that's
so
him.
many cameos, so many things that mean so much more to me now. It's fucking Frank Oz.
Totally, man.
He's everywhere.
Yeah. Yo, speaking of movie screenings, we have our first live event coming up next year.
We do,
or this year. This year? Yeah,
that's
this year.
Right, it's the end of this year. That's amazing.
Well, because this episode is airing in January.
Yes.
So our film screening our live event is next month.
Yes, for Film Jitsu.
Yeah. February February 8th. Yeah. Preston Thomas.
And we just recently had on the show.
Yep. So go back and listen to that episode. You'll hear all about this documentary that we're going to be screening live here at Stewart Cinema in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you have very little time to jump on board because our Patreon subscribers are getting a free ticket.
They are.
Yeah.
So
you literally have like less than 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah. Wow. It's really coming up.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's crazy.
Flies.
Yeah, totally, man. But it's going to be good. It's a great documentary. It's about the intersection of martial arts, specifically grappling, and the film industry. Lots of notable legends interviewed in the movie, and it kind of tracks also Preston's own journey as a filmmaker and a grappler. So definitely worth coming to see.
And then we also have our own festival coming up, sort of.
Well,
right?
we're sponsoring a festival.
Sponsoring a festival.
Yeah, we're one of the sponsors of the Art of Movie Making Film Festival.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's coming up in June 21st and 22nd here in New York City.
We got a little time on that one. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, totally. So that's a great festival. They do a lot of they're honoring all the crafts in filmmaking.
I like that.
They're not doing like best picture, best actor. They're doing best editor, none of that stuff.
That's right. It's best special effects.
Yep.
Stunt performance, and the winner of best stunt performance is actually going to come on the show.
Yeah, totally. So if you are a filmmaker or a performer and you want to submit a scene or a full production to this festival, we will have the link in the show notes for their Film Freeway where you can site where you can submit to be in the festival. Yeah. Same with the with our screening. We'll have information about getting tickets and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. Let's also give a shout out to some of our YouTube commentators.
Oh yeah. We love you guys on YouTube, man.
Mark Ronick and Gavin Borden.
Dude, okay.
Gavin, thanks, buddy.
So first of all, Gavin, you're awesome.
You are.
If you watched our last episode with talking about running scared, Gavin Borden is the guy who gifted me the replica John Wayne Colt.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah. So thank you, Gavin. You're a part of the show historically. And now that we mentioned you, he does comment on our YouTube quite a bit. He's a big fan. So we love you, Gavin. I met him. He's a sound mixer.
Oh, very cool.
I met him when he was working here. Now he's out west.
Nice.
But and Mark Ronick of the Empowered Podcasting Group.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. He's got a great Facebook group.
Very cool.
Learned quite a bit about podcasting in there. And Mark's awesome. And, we've been chatting and talking and stuff. And he was kind enough to come by and watch our stuff and leave a comment on one of our videos.
So nice of you, Mark.
So, Mark, you're great. And anybody listening, if you're a podcaster or a wannabe podcaster or even a seasoned podcaster, check out his Facebook group, the Empowered Podcasting Group.
Oh, this is the group that you...
Yeah. I added you to it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the you had a big long post in there.
Yeah, just recently. Like, dude, and this doesn't just go for this group. This goes for any group on Facebook. Martial arts group, like whatever. Don't go in there and just spam groups with your shit.
Nope, that's not what they're for.
No.
It's not. Like, even on the movie props group, you know what I mean? Like we had a whole episode where I had my movie props on there. Yeah. And I even went afterwards and I'm like, hey, is there any way to do this without make it seem like I'm promoting my show? And he's like, it really isn't. He's like, you can mention your show and tag your show in comments, which I did.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. You asked.
I asked.
See? Like I even did it's
not like I did it, got denied, and then got fucking butthurt over it.
Yeah. I'll hit up the moderator and be like, hey, what's the deal? I don't want to break the rule. Just be kind and be honorable and be polite and just don't come in and get butthurt because
you did something that you probably shouldn't.
Or you just think you're entitled in some way to help, without making any effort to be part of the community that you are asking to help you. You know what I mean? Like if you're asking community to help you, a nice thing to do try to be part of that community. Talk, share, read what other people are writing, contribute. Don't just talk about your own thing.
Me.
Yeah, you, Paul.
You.
Anyway, so speaking of Facebook and social media, please, everybody give us a follow. All our links are in the show notes. We're on Instagram, on Facebook.
Subscribe.
We're
like.
Letterboxd. Man,
What are all the things that people have to do?
Just whatever you got to do. Give us a star. Give us a heart. Give us a fire emoji. Give us a review. Give us a like, a thumbs up.
Comments.
Yeah. Whatever you have to do to show us love and to thank us for putting this stuff out there, not behind a paywall, that would be great.
Yeah. Just to let people know that to let the powers that be know that they're listening, that you guys are listening.
Yeah. Just contribute to that magical thing called algorithm.
Right.
And help us, with the SEO, help us get to the top of those searches, especially on IMDb. If you give us a review on IMDb, that actually helps because IMDb is really big in getting you to the top of searches. So definitely do it.
I think we should get into our wonderful freaking sponsors. Yeah. Because we just mentioned IMDb and I'm like, oh man, we have got some awesome people that are behind us right now.
We would have no show to promote here without them.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Fights with Friends podcast. That's us.
Yeah. We sponsor ourselves.
We sponsor ourselves. I totally fucked that up.
No, you didn't. I mean, we can talk about ourselves.
Right. But I was gonna say Fight or Flight Entertainment.
Yeah, fuck Brett Copes. Brett, we don't give a shit no more. We're talking about ourselves first this time.
By the way, before Brett told us that we are not allowed to have anything written down for him. Well, this is what you get, Brett.
Yeah, he said freestyle it.
He said freestyle it. You have to freestyle. Well, this is what happens.
Usually we go last. Today we're going first. But as you see behind you, we have this wonderful studio. You can rent, you can train. We can train your actors, train your performers. You can shoot previs here. You can do seminars here, workshops, all that kind of good stuff. Auditions. We held all the auditions for the Sambo Scene kids in John Wick 3.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, we did the auditions here.
And then they called you back.
Yeah, of course.
They called you back and you were there and you choreoed that scene pretty much.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Cool. It was fun.
Those kids look so fucking angry.
Yeah.
That's like when I walk in there, I was like, just knowing that you were kind of the brainchild behind that, and I was like, man, those kids look so fucking angry.
Just a tiny bit.
Well, I mean, the moves.
Yeah, the moves.
You know what I mean? Like
I told them what to do.
Yeah, but I mean,
here's a 4-move sequence. Do it over and over and over.
They had that Sambo look in their face.
They were all little. As Chad Stahelski said when we were setting up the auditions. Excuse me. He said, "I need pasty white Russian looking kids." Because I was like, I reached out to all my judo and sambo coach friends that have kids that might want to be in the movie. And there were
those 2 kids,
but there were Uzbeks and all these other former Soviet nationalities that are great sambo. But he's like, no, we need the pasty white Russian look.
Yeah. And then there was those 2 kids that just killed it.
The Collier brothers.
Yeah.
They're judo guys, but they were phenomenal. They're the 2 throwing each other in the middle.
Yeah, I was going to say they did that. They did the flying armbar and the.
Yeah, they did the head and arm throw, landing in the Kesagatami, and they were good, man. They were awesome. So yeah, definitely. Anyway, Breakfall Studios. If you need our services, shoot us an email at fightingwithfriendspod@gmail.com. And while you're at it, you can just ask to be on our mailing list too. That's our email. Just let us know. But we're glad to help out with your production if you need it.
For sure. And now I got it. Fight or Flight Entertainment.
Yeah, now we'll get to Brett. And Brett has taught in this very studio because he's fucking awesome.
He has. He gave introduction?
Yes. Rigging for entertainment rigging, not entertainment rigging, but stunt rigging for performers. It was basically a 101 stunt rigging. If you're a performer, this is what you should know, some basics to be your own safety person. It was really good workshop. But he teaches much more detailed workshops around the country. He does inspections. He does rig builds if you need a rig built in your studio space, and obviously he coordinates shows and stuff like that. So check out Fight or Flight Entertainment. He's awesome, and everything that they do is awesome for sure.
Speaking of coordinating shows, if you're trying to figure out what show's going on and who's coordinating what.
Nice segue. I see what you did there, dude.
I do my best. I try.
You're getting good at this hosting.
It happens.
20 episodes in.
I learned a thing or two.
We still don't sound like hamana.
So this one time.
Yeah. No, we don't hear Mike in the, we don't hear Matt in the background. Mike discipline.
Move closer to the mic.
Face the mic.
Speak up.
Face the mic.
Speak up. I can't hear you.
We're finally nailing this shit. 20 episodes. But yeah, man. So what were you going to say? Who's our last sponsor?
Stunt Contact.
Yeah, Stunt Contact.
I love Stunt Contact. They are the organization that helps me stay organized when I can't stay organized.
Say that 3 times fast. No, but they're great. They are a great industry breakdown service.
They are your one-stop shop to figure out what productions are in play, what productions are coming up.
Yep.
If you're looking to get in touch and try and reach out to the production, if you have something you want to submit to, they usually have emails that are in there. Yeah, I mean they're pretty awesome.
Yeah,
they have weekly emails that come out, and then if you increase your membership, you can get daily emails.
Yeah. Subscription. There's a couple of subscription rates. I think they're adding some newer subscription rates like monthlies and different rates. So definitely check them out. I think it's good if you're not a stunt performer. You just want to know what's being thought about, what's in pre-production, what's in development, what is actively shooting right now, and where. Who's involved. They consolidate all the trades, all the info. Boom. It's all right there for you. So great service, Stunt Contact. Check them out. The links to all our sponsors are in the show notes. Their socials, their websites, everything. Hit them up. I think that's about it. What else we got to say? Anything?
Like, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff.
Just show us love, baby.
All the love. Just always, 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 always.
That's it, dude.
That's it.
All right, cool. So what do you say we bring in Mr. Larry Rosenthal?
Let's do it.
And here he is, Mr. Larry Rosenthal, all the way from Los Angeles. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Great to see you guys. It was like last summer when I saw the both of you, I think, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. It's good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, that was for Paul's belated not honeymoon.
My belated COVID bachelor party.
Yeah, totally. We went out to LA.
That was fun, man.
So I do have one question. Did you win?
Yeah, we played night court. So we kind of sentenced them to what was it, like 5 years max sentence?
Nice.
So for those listening, Larry just came from the Stunt Softball League where he was playing in a game.
Actually, it wasn't the Stunt Softball League. It's another league called the Primetime Softball League, but it's all good.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I play like 3 or 4 times a week, but just a little bit.
Oh,
all different leagues?
Yeah.
You're a softball maniac.
Yeah, it's just my one passion in life. Life's too short, as you both know, so you have to always enjoy what you do in life, including work.
This is true. That's where, and you first met Larry at the softball game.
I did.
We went, when we went. That was cool.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
There were all the stunt people were there. It was great. That was such a like.
If I was in LA, I would be playing in that league for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna start with. As you know, this is film fights with friends. Yes. So we're going to start with the fight. You've coordinated a bunch of kid shows, Nickelodeon, Disney. I mean, we were telling the people in the intro, as a performer, you've been in freaking so much shit.
Everything.
Like 20 years worth of awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Star Trek nerds are going to be like, I know our other producer, Matt's going to be like, what? He was in Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Can I get him on our show? Because he does a Star Trek podcast. So Larry, definitely tell us the funny story about Star Trek.
Well, of course it's related. It's softball related. I was playing in the Stunt Softball League. I don't even remember when Deep Space Nine started. Late 90s, I think it was. And a gentleman by the name of Dennis Matalone, one of the premier stunt coordinators, stunt performers. He's got a billion credits, has a heart of gold, one of the nicest people I know. He was catching. I was at second base. One of our players hit a really deep fly ball to center field. I'm rounding. I tag up. I rounding third. I'm coming home. So I'm taking 2 bases on a deep fly ball. And I coming into home, and Dennis was catching, and he fake tagged me. He didn't have the ball, but he fake tagged me, and I slid. And then I popped up after the slide. I'm looking, I'm saying, where's the ball? And are we allowed to swear on these? I think we are.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's how people get hurt out here. Dennis, don't ever fucking do it. I was really pissed because there's no reason for me to slide. And that's how people get hurt. So I kid you not. So at the end of the game, he comes up to me and, he apologized. And I said, Dennis, I'm sorry for swearing at you, but the last thing we need to do is get hurt playing softball. We're out here to have fun. 2 weeks later, he calls me up to double Ducat, and then I doubled him for almost 9 years. And Dennis and I
oh my God,
became the best of friends.
That's awesome.
That's a great story. So the moral of the story is when we come to play softball with you, we're going to fake tag people.
Only if I'm working on a hit show.
It's all about the hidden ball trick.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's talk about Cousins for Life, because there was that fight scene in there, and we linked it in the show notes between the green, I guess it's kind of like a Power Ranger thing, right? Like the yellow Ranger and the green fighter, the Green Ranger girl. Mm-hmm. So when you're, we know nothing about coordinating a kid show. So, but when you take us through the process, you get a script and there's a fight in it. What happened? What's your next step?
Well, to take it one quick step back further.
Yeah, please do.
The biggest thing is with working on kid shows is that a lot of times these kids, they all come up to the coordinator. Oh, I want to do my own stunts. I want to do my own stunts. And it's not that they can or can't. It's really, I think, for the coordinator to determine, first of all, but I'll tell you that process in a second. But it's also it's taking them to the side and explaining to them. And you say to them, hey, it's not that I can't trust that you can or can't do it, but do you see all these 80 to 100 people around you working on the show? And God forbid, if you get hurt accidentally while trying to do a stunt, then all these people are going to be out of work, for a couple months until you're back healthy and able to come back to work. So I've always had that opening with all the kids I've ever worked with, so that they understand why I don't let them do too much. But there definitely has been occasions where I have let them do it. And as you saw in the Cousins footage, there's a lot of insert shots we did with the actors. Mm-hmm. So when I see the script and I determine if the child actor is, first of all, capable of doing it in my own mind, just knowing them and working around them for a while, seeing what abilities they do have. Right. Then I will go to the line producer and say, you know what, I'm comfortable if you are with me talking to the parent and then the kid about doing the stunt. So if he's okay, he or she, the line producer, is okay with it, then I'll usually talk to the parent and the kid at the same time. Always go through the parents. I never, sidestep a minor's parent. And I explained to him, I said, this is how we're going to do it. I want the parent right there. And I walk them through the procedure of the fight from start to finish so that the parent is comfortable with it before I let the child say, yes, I want to do it. Of course, I always want to do it. But, the parent has to be comfortable with it as their guardian, obviously.
So when you're walking them through the fight, are you doing that with doubles that you've already kind of worked out the choreography? Or are you just walking them through it like, this is where this will happen, this is where that will happen?
Both actually. Because if I will always have doubles come in and do the whole fight. But I try to get the actor involved as soon as possible because I want them to be able to, like they act with their mouths, to be able to act with their bodies and do the stunts, as we know, as well, to sell, sell everything. So
is there anything that's just a hard no?
Oh yeah, there's been many.
Are there lines that cannot be crossed when it comes to kids and stunts?
Well, it's all judgment. I would say starting with the coordinator. So yeah, there's been definitely some hard no's when I'll just bring in a stunt double because I just won't. I don't want to jeopardize the chance. If there's the slightest chance of a kid slipping on the floor and doing a hard fall to their back, hitting their head or something like that, I won't do it. If I can cheat a mat in there and and catch the kid or something, that's a different story because I'll do a bunch of those and I teach the kids how to fall the proper way in the mats. If they're just taking a fall, a hard pass of something thrown at them and they have to catch it and then fall back. But if it has to do with traveling, for instance, on a hand pull or a ratchet, I won't ever put an actor on that. If it's elevating them up in the air, sure. I usually have no problem with that. I have a lot of kids' harnesses. I'll get, if I don't, I'll have one specifically made for that size of that kid. And, that kind of stuff, raising them up in the air. Like I did one of my first shows I coordinated was Austin and Ellie, one of the top Disney shows for 4 years. And I got to recreate the Mission Impossible scene where he's coming down from the museum and then I have to bring the kid down and stop him just before hitting the bottom of the ground. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's in the reel that you sent us. That'll be in the show notes too.
Okay.
Definitely check that out. Yeah.
So that's one where I know I have him completely secure. He's in a harness. I got ankle harnesses on him. I got him picked in the shoulders. I got him picked in the back. And then it all comes up to the middle, which is the line that he's on. So for something like that, and he loved it, of course, he didn't want to get off. Those are the easier things to do. But if it's a hand pull or if it's a ratchet, anything where it's going to do a hard jerk on them, that's the hard nose for me.
Yeah. Because watching the reels, I mean, obviously we were saying before we got on, it's like I don't watch a lot of kid shows, but watching the reels and then some of the episode scenes and stuff on YouTube, it's pretty cool. It seems like it's all the classic stunts,
the classic gags,
right? It's like pulls and falls and
over the table, over the bar,
through tables, and
something going through a window.
Like on 3 separate episodes, we saw the car crashing through the wall. You know.
And that one, actually, I brought in all doubles. I mean, I probably could have put a couple of the actors in the back seat, but talking with the producer, he just said, let's get all doubles, and that's fine. But the fact that you get to crash a car through a wall on a soundstage, that hardly ever happens, So the fact, especially on a kid show, because,
So, yeah. Sorry. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
I was going to say, going back to the fight that we were talking about, I was going to say that a lot of the other, like we were just talking, there would be cuts, and then you would kind of go far away and you would see the back, and obviously it would be the adult or the double. But this fight was a lot of the kids' faces, a lot of the looked like they were doing a lot of the fighting and a lot of the punching. I was impressed.
The cool thing is we do get to do some insert shots with the kids, and I do walk the kids. The great thing about kids, even sometimes better than adults, they actually listen. they actually listen. They want to learn, and they love that stuff. And there's certain things like I didn't want him to do, like when at the very end of the fight where he gets kicked by the girl and he falls into the hole of the
foam pit.
Yeah.
There's certain things I don't want to, because I want people to feel comfortable falling backwards. But what we did is we shot the entire fight scene from start to finish with the stunt doubles, probably 2 or 3 times. I don't believe we did any inserts, but then I started to do inserts, with the actors, so that the times when you were going to see the faces is where the director wanted to do the inserts. So it all ended up pretty good, actually. Surprised.
It was really funny. I like that last part where they're all in slow-mo and that cutout is coming across with the staff.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. And the green girl does like an aerial and does like an aerial axe kick to break the staff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was Marissa LeBog, one of the most talented stunt
we were literally just talking about Marissa.
Oh my God.
Wondering if you brought her in and
Marissa doubled her.
We love Marissa.
Marissa doubled her the whole season. Marissa is an awesome stunt performer. I mean, the fact that she did that in one take, because we put the green boy, because originally what the story was about Green Boy and the robot. And the robot, what happens is the robot is out of control. He can't control the robot anymore. So it was originally about Green Boy. So what happens is Green Boy is flying through the air on some on whatchamacallit, on a monofilament, and she has to time it perfectly to not only do her flip, to hit the sword that he's kind of holding in his hand, the pole, and obviously land on her feet.
Yeah.
Of course, I had a pad down for her there, and I'm safetying her just in case. But she just, first time, she nailed it. She timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
And it all worked out. So she made me look really good. She really did.
Dude, she's great. When she's in New York, she's been to train here with us. Yeah. She's really cool.
Yeah. And she was X23's double.
Yeah, and
Logan.
Logan. Yeah. She's a beast.
She's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's like the great thing about her is she's short and she can pass for a kid. Yeah, she may weigh a little bit more because a bone structure of a 14-year-old girl is going to be a lot smaller than a bone structure of a however old Marissa is. But still, at the end of the day, it's more the height. You try to find it, and that's always believe it or not, as you probably know, that's usually the hardest thing to do is find the doubles for these kid actors. Because even the guy who I had doubling, the actor, he was probably 30 plus pounds heavier than the kid.
Right.
But he's the best, we can find. So there's, I tried to have him in limited, or if when they were shooting him, it was more in the profile shots. But Dallas, the actor, he actually did a good job with it too. So I got to get them through, besides the insert shots, pretty much the whole fight as well.
Yeah, it was really good. The way it was cut together really made us wonder. I mean, obviously some of it, like Marissa's Ariel is clearly not the kid, but most of it really felt like it was the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Now, how do you have a challenge like working with adult stunt doubles, with them sort of maybe newer ones at least, dumbing down making it look like they don't know? Because we always talk about like how it's hard to look like you're not as good as you are, right? So to look like kid movement,
like
for an adult to look
like when a stunt guy, when I would take a back fall, like like what I would call like the banana peel slip.
Yeah.
You try and really get your legs up there, you get the arms back, you get that good, is there kind of a where you're just like, that looks too
adult.
It looks too stunty. It looks too adult. We need to look like a kid who's falling, who doesn't know how to fall, who literally fell.
I guess it's just like the learning curve for an adult trying to double a child and how a child moves as opposed to an adult movement. Yeah.
It usually in my opinion, there isn't much of a difference between it. And obviously we have the time to rehearse it. And if I think they are doing it too much, then I'll just say, dull it down a little bit. Or like you said, Paul, kick the legs up a little bit more, a little bit less when you're doing it. But they're really, it's not that often when you have to tell someone, dull it down a lot. You're doubling a kid, not an adult. So
that's cool.
Because I think they're also used to, these doubles are used to doubling kids at all sorts of, TV shows and movies and commercials and what have you. So
right.
I think a lot
of them. How much? No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of them have the experience even prior to coming to me most of the time.
Right. I was going to say, how much, you mentioned rehearsal. So how much, like, let's say per episode, walk us through the process. Like, how much rehearsal do you get before you have to shoot it?
Depends on the stunt. But if you're talking specifically about that stunt on Cousins, they actually gave us the 3 days. Normally sitcoms for regular sitcoms and children's are a 5-day process. So they rehearse Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday is the network run through where the network will come and watch it. Thursday, they do a lot of blocking and shooting. Then Friday, they do blocking and shooting. And sometimes, not in this case, but on other shows, they'll bring in an audience in the evening and save 2 or 3 scenes for the audience in front of a live audience as well, like Austin and
I feel like that's how they like to shoot Sesame Street.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Oh, do they not bring in audiences much anymore, or they're back to bringing
still do, but I think not as much, only because it's a cost saving effort too. I mean, when you're bringing in an audience and you figure it's costing them at least $20,000 to $30,000 minimum,
right,
to bring an audience in for 4 to 5 hours, to come and watch. So, and also dealing with minors, each state has their own labor laws, so they have to schedule their time in front of the camera accordingly, based on how many hours they're allowed to work during the day.
So is it almost like for you, or definitely for them, I guess, but it's almost like a 9 to 5 job, like Monday through Friday schedule? No,
because what they'll do is they'll stack them. They'll try to put most of if the scenes are with one kid or, by themselves or with other children, they could have them come in earlier, but then maybe like the big fight scene, like that fight scene, they probably didn't have them in until later on that afternoon, the 2 of them, because we spent most of one day. So we rehearsed that, as I said, 3 days, and then we filmed it either on Thursday or Friday. I don't remember specifically. So we got basically 3 days to rehearse it and, fine tune it and take away, add to, depending on if it was running too long, too short. Because, the director has so much time to cut the show at the end of the day for 22 minutes for a half-hour show. So, maybe I take this out, I add more stuff in, depending upon it. So
I've heard different stories from different coordinators, but on adult productions. But how much input, if any, do you have in the edit? Would they run a cut by you, a pass, and say, hey, how does this look? Or do you have zero?
No, all my creativity is up till shoot day, including shoot day. Afterwards, so on a rare occasion, if it's a movie I've done or something, on a rare occasion, they may come in and ask me something. But usually, most of the directors I've worked with have a good idea, good visual, and my goal at the end of the day on anything I work on is to capture what the director is visualizing within the constraints of what we have to work with, and obviously the money that they're giving us. Some shows, not necessarily the kid shows, but some of the movies that are lower budget ones, I can only bring in 2 stunt people instead of 5. So, I work with what I have, and I still try to, deliver what the director wants at the end of the day.
That's very cool, man.
One thing that I noticed when I was watching the kid shows is when they show the fall, right? So they'll show like the fall, and then they'll show the person get up. But the one thing that you don't see very often is the impact. And is that basically because having a kid there and trying to show that you would have to have the kid do it? Or is it just easier to just been like, yep, everybody knows they're down, they're up. They fall behind the thing and then they kind of get up. If they fall behind the table, they'll fall behind the table and then they'll pop up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that, sorry.
No, that's okay. I should have let you finish the question.
No, that's kind of was the first. I guess.
No, I was going to say this is because we've seen the baddies take hard falls. The guys like in that episode of Warped where they're like in the sort of Star Wars bar.
Oh yeah,
they're doing like slipping on the slime and doing back falls and stuff like that.
And then you saw them; they were hitting the ground and they were hitting the backs. But a lot of times when you see the good guys, or whatever, there's a lot of the cheats. The cheats, or I guess you could call the Texas switch.
Well, a lot of switches.
A lot of switches.
Yeah,
I feel.
I mean, if it comes to a child actor hitting the ground from standing up or higher, no, I would never let them do that. So a lot of times, like you said, I'll have them fall out of frame. You'll cut to them seeing it. Or what I can do is cheat is I have 3/4 of their body lying down, and then they come to the last part of their upper body, just, touching the ground when they're like an inch or 2 off. That's all cheat. Otherwise, if the director wants to see the hit on the ground, then it's always going to be a double. I'm never going to have a child performer hit the ground, obviously, for many reasons.
So that's great. That's one of those hard lines that is a no.
Yes. For me, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. I would believe it's the same with most coordinators who are doing the Disney and the Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah. And so we were talking before. It seems like with all the classic gags that there's these standard sets of gags. Like, what's something that came across your table that was what's the most challenging gag you ever had to do for a kids show? The one that made you feel like, wow, okay, this one's different. This one's unique. Like, this is novel for me. It's not it's not one of the classic gags that you see on a kids show.
Well, there's been several of them, I guess. But, like the fight scenes, for instance, there usually aren't fight scenes on kid shows, number one. So if I have like one fight scene, I mean, I did Austin and Ally for all 4 seasons for Disney, and I had maybe one fight scene in, 80 plus episodes. But then you saw in Cousins one season, we did one out of 22 episodes of Warped. We only did 12 episodes of Warped, and we surprisingly had that nice little fight scene in the alien bar or whatever you want to call it, which was fun.
Yeah. It looked like a pseudo Mandalorian outfits and like Star Wars type bar. It was cool.
Oh yeah. Funny costumes, a lot of good costumes in that episode. But the fact, the longer the fight lasts, the better for me. As far as I'm concerned, because that's the fun part. The longer I get to beat up my friends, right? Or not necessarily my friends. I mean, if they're doubles, then obviously, the doubles are the doubles. But the 2 big guys are guys who I've worked with before, and they just, they did a phenomenal. Not only in the wardrobe they were in, because a lot of their wardrobe was constricting, but they both Angel Manuel did the slip on the slot on the ground near the end, and Dave Reeves did the hand pull where we pulled him up into the wall shelf and came down onto his back. So, I mean, I give both of those guys credit because they did a lot in such a little bit amount of time that we had, to shoot it in. Because that was, we spent maybe 3 to 4 hours throughout the day. Maybe we had a break in between for lunch, but, we did a lot, from them being dodged with tables to trying to dive onto the guy but lands on the crafty table to, a little fight scene too, and blocking the fight scene. Arm to arm, or he was holding, I believe, a weapon in his hand, a sword, and he broke the sword in half. I think when he swung through it, or something. So
there's some it's really cool stuff. It's really cool stuff. I have so much fun watching the. I don't know. I just had so much fun.
Yeah, it was. What was the one with the arrow?
Oh, the arrow ricocheting all over.
I was laughing so hard.
And the kid is on the spinning wheel.
Yeah, that was. Really
funny.
Yeah,
that
was a good one.
Geez. Yeah, no, that was the stunt. That was the stunt double for the most part. But I actually did hang the actress upside down for part of the scene. But the phenomenal thing was, out of most of the shows I've done, Warped, I probably had the two best doubles that looked almost exactly like the actors. I mean, Kara Ko doubled the girl on Warped, and I mean, you could not tell them apart. They both were the same height, same hair length, same hair color, same skin tone, same everything. And it's a rarity when you get that opportunity to have a double like that, because then the producers love it, the director loves it, because I mean, they even used her a few times, when the actor wasn't around, because her time ran out as to how long. One of the days I remember, her time ran out as to how long she could be there working. So Kara ended up finishing part of it. There wasn't any dialogue, but there was some more stunt stuff going on.
Oh, that's cool. So how did you find your way to working the kids shows? Because most of, like, when you look at your resume as a performer, obviously it's like adult shows. How did you make your way to the Nickelodeon and the Disneys and the kid shows?
That is a funny question, which goes back to how I doubled Ducat for almost 9 years on Deep Space Nine was through softball. The league that I actually played in today, it's amazing. Networking. The league that I play in today is a league that myself and two other friends started up almost 30 years ago. It's called Primetime Softball League, and it's made up of television shows. Now it's television streaming shows that are currently in production. Well, one of my good friends was, I believe, the AP, for people who know, associate producer on Coach. And I was, at the time, the production accountant on another show. I think it was called Tour of Duty. And we were playing each other, and we just hit it off as friends. And we became very good friends. And as he worked his way up the ladder from AP to being a line producer, UPM, he brought me in and gave me my first job stunt coordinating. It was on the Wayans Brothers with Marlon and Sean Wayans. So that's for crazy. 4 out of 5 years, I coordinated the Wayans Brothers, the last 4 seasons of it, because of him. And it's because of softball, because I met this guy who ended up becoming a good friend. And, a lot of this business, as you both know, a lot of this business is about networking. It really is. I mean, it's important. There's so many ways that we can network in our business, from the Television Academy, through coordinator hustles. I don't know if you do it in New York, where you'll have 3 or 4 coordinators congregate in one area, and you do a little mixer invite all the stunt performers to come in and say hello.
We did some of that before COVID. We haven't really had a post-COVID one. Yeah.
They would do like open hustles.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to me,
definitely, it's a relationship business.
It is. And as I said, if it wasn't for softball, though, I never would have met this guy who gave me my first opportunity. And it was through him, and I'll say through softball as well, that I started coordinating other shows too. Another producer who I worked for also did some kid shows, but pretty much most of the kid shows have come from my friend, who I've known for almost 30 years now.
That's crazy. That's cool.
That's how I started.
I mean, but you do coordinate some adult stuff too, obviously, right?
Yeah. No, I just finished. I just finished a movie about a month ago, which was a lot of fun. A ton of fight scenes in that, actually. And it's just, again, it's working with what they give you too. It's like, I've done a lot of sitcoms. I've been doing a lot of movies. I've done since COVID, or even just before COVID, I've done I think 3 or 4 movies now. And that just keeps happening. I have another movie that I'm supposed to start in a month, but you know how the business is. I don't hold my breath on it until we get the contract or the call sheet. But so I enjoy doing both. It's nice when you have the opportunity to bring your friends in, or to thank the people who helped you along the way as well.
Mm-hmm. What is there anything that you try to bring from the child world to the adult world? I mean, they've got to be 2 completely different worlds, but I'm wondering if there's, something like maybe even about handling stress, or, whatever. Is there something that you wish that exists in the child world that you wish there was more of in the adult world?
Besides the actors listening to you.
Oh, that I was just going to say that's the one. That's one of them, because your friends are always kidding around with you, or even if they're not, if you're hiring a stunt double, because obviously, to me, when I hire a double, I'm not going to hire my friend. I'm going to hire the best person that's suitable for the double. Where as you know, in this business, sometimes people just hire their friends or hire their group no matter what, and I think that's wrong. I think that's the old school mentality of the business. But to me, it's a reflection on me as to who I'm hiring in front of the producers and the director and everything. So to me, it's important to hire the best person for the job, not just because you're my friend. Unfortunately, if it's an ND stuff, that's different.
Right.
But to answer, I kind of veered off your question. To answer your question,
no, that's all right. But for the listeners, ND means nondescript, just so listeners know what we're talking about.
Thank you.
But yeah, so the question is there something that is in the child television world or film world that you would like to see kind of transposed into the adult film world, or something that you wish there was more of with the adults?
It's, it's hard to say, because my mentality, maybe because, I didn't really start in the childhood coordinating, but I think to me, safety has always been my number one priority on set. And if you hear that, knock on wood,
yes,
I've never had anybody injured on any set that I've coordinated, and I plan on keeping it that way. So whether I'm on a a kid show, or
we have another guest. We have another guest on the show.
Two of them. My alarm's going off. I think they see an ant walking across the street. Safety to me is the most important thing. I will go through things. I have no problem walking up to you, Stephen, and say, "Hey, okay, you know what you're doing here now. Is there anything you see that could be a possible concern?" Because what I see is another thing too, is I offer the opportunity for the performers to speak up. I said, this is to me, we work together as a team. I'm not your boss per se, but we work together as a team. I don't have a problem if you have a question about anything, you come and ask me. If you want to ask me to the side, take me to the side. Let's talk about it. And that happens a lot, actually, because some people, especially the new people, they just want to do this stunt, and they're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid to speak up. And I think it's so important to do that. So from being overprotective on kid shows, which is, maybe I am, also being a dad as well. Maybe that also tends to kick in as well. But to bringing that to the adults, I think, that's my biggest thing, is safety first. And, because I've been on some crazy shows, and, I don't want to mention names or directors or producers, but I've been on some multi-million-dollar movies where they don't give you time to rehearse. You're lucky if there's one stunt team ahead of the main team that's coming in to shoot. You're lucky if you even have time to set it up half the time. And I've seen many unfortunate accidents because of that, not having time to rehearse, not setting things up properly or efficiently or safely. And that happens, unfortunately, in several of the major features that I've worked on, and, including to myself.
Sure.
When I've done video game work, they've had, the director would just kind of like tell you to do something. And then you always just go, can you tell the coordinator to tell me that? And that's kind of my way of being like, no, because you need to tell him, and he's going to tell you you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah. Or the same
but
thing.
I'm not going to say it to you, but
correct.
Can you have him tell me that?
Exactly. Or you just go to the coordinator and say, hey, the director came up to me. They want me to do this, so I want to bring you into the loop. I think, the big thing is in life in general is communication in any type of relationship, whether it's your boss, whether it's your friend, your partner, whatever. It's being able to communicate. I would rather ask a stupid question and get an answer versus not have the answer at all.
Yeah, 100%. Do you do any debriefing, like after something something worked but it was close to not working, or do you do a after action kind of like, hey, this almost went south, let's look at why, or anything like that?
Well, if that goes again, if we're doing a second or a third take, or if that was the last take. If it's the last take, it's a different story, because we can't think of everything as a coordinator, of everything that goes wrong. And that's the way my brain works, though, is what do I prevent from anything going wrong? Do I put a couple extra layer of pads over there so when they're coming down, they don't accidentally kick off that way and then they end up hitting the ground, and where they can land on a few other pads? But, a lot of times what will happen after the first take is the director will say, well, can we tighten this up a little bit? Can we cut that down a little bit? So we'll do that. type of talks in between takes.
Sure.
And at the same time, like you said, though, if I see that a stunt performer is going overboard, then yeah, I'll pull them aside. Listen, you need to tone it down. This is what I need you to do. And this is how we're going to accomplish getting the shot. I mean, through my experience of doing this for a while too, and I don't know what you guys have experienced, but TV streaming has a tendency to not go as overboard as movies do when it comes to stunts. Stunts, they usually want, from my experience in the movies, they want 110%. Where on TV and streaming, a lot of times you can dumb it down to even 80%, 90%, and it still looks great, and you're still accomplishing what the director needs and wants.
I find in TV, you get it within yourself, you get a lot more of that cut. All right, we got it. And you're like, but I can do that. Like that was
hundreds of times. Hundreds.
I didn't even hear you say action.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
But in a movie, it's like again. I
need more.
Do you think that that's a function of just time, lack of time, or is it a function of less consequences or just a higher standard? Like, what do you think the reason for that is, or all of the above?
I don't think it's none of the above, actually.
Oh,
I don't think it's time, honestly, because I think television, I don't know, maybe growing up as kids, I know we're all somewhat close to the same age. Television, if you know, wasn't as a violent thing to watch, period. Versus if you think about movies, they can get away with more violent stuff, more brutality, more stuff. And I think that mentality is just kind of carried forward. So the harder the hit on the movie, the nicer it's going to look. The audience is going, wow, God, I love that. And you want to suck the audience in. Where TV, I still think you obviously want to suck in the audience. And I think a lot of your best TV shows, in my opinion, have a lot of great stunts in them. But I don't think they've ever had the need to really consistently go overboard. I mean, yes, some things you do.
Interesting.
Some things you do have to give it the 110% on TV because you have no choice, to accomplish what they really are trying to capture. But, like 80% of the stunts on TV, you're fine at 80, 90%, and you're still going to look great. It's still going to look good when people watch it at the end of the day.
So I almost kind of feel like, just in a way to get my head wrapped around this, it's like, in a TV show, you show a guy go over a railing and he goes down the stairs, and you show him just kind of go over the railing and take the fall, and then he's at the bottom. But in the movie, you put the camera up top and he goes bing, 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 and hits everything on the way down. Yeah. And then he hits the bottom.
It almost reminds me of like when, with the way you described like TV versus movie, like maybe it's expectation level, right? And so it's kind of like reminds me of when we get stage combat people that want to do stunts, and we're like, well, they're cousins, but like the expectations of an audience at a theater is a lot lower. The expectation of reality is a lot lower than, say, television, where people expect it to be more real looking. And now maybe it's like expectation for television is not as high as expectation of movie.
Interesting. Do you think that expectation this is also for you, may that come with the fact that you're putting money down in that moment, and that you don't really pay per se, like you're not taking money out of your wallet to sit down and watch a TV show, but you're taking money out of your wallet to watch a movie, and you have an expectation. That's a little bit different than when you sit and watch a TV show. Well,
you still are subscribing though to your television. You're paying for that.
You are now.
And now we are. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. And I think Steve, and you touched on it a little bit too. I think some of it does have to do with time, because if you're doing a sitcom, it's a 22 minutes of materials and 8 minutes of commercial, versus a movie, it's an hour and a half. So they can drag out that fight a little bit longer and add more force behind it. Where TV, they, a lot of times, boom, boom, they're done with the fight, or one punch, or one gunshot, versus a gun battle for, 5 minutes on TV. You're never going to see a gun battle for 5 minutes on TV.
You're not waiting for that final shootout on a TV show, really.
No,
you're waiting for that in the season finale.
I was even thinking of, actually, when I mentioned time, I didn't even think of time of the final product. I was thinking
time of shooting. That's what I
shooting
thought
time.
That's what you were thinking, so I kind of made you look good, but you just now ruined it.
Well, also, like going back to when we were talking to Sonny, Ben, like that 11-minute fight took 4 days to shoot.
Yeah.
You can't do that for TV.
Yeah.
And I've had that as well. I mean, I've had, 45 seconds of a fight, like the movie I just did. I asked them for rehearsal days, even though it was a low budget movie. They still gave me the rehearsal day, because otherwise I tell them, if you're not going to give me the rehearsal time, we're going to get there. We're going to need at least 3 to 4 hours for me to familiarize myself with the location, figure out what I'm going to take advantage of with what you've given me here. And then we're going to need to rehearse it all and make it look good. Mm-hmm. So,
it's more time on set.
Yeah. So to me, it was worth it for them and the money we spent to have a rehearsal day on a couple of our big fights. So that way we just showed up within 30 minutes. We were ready to shoot it versus 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, you want to be plug and play, right? You show up on set and you're ready to go.
Yeah, and it's the same with the kid show as well, though, too. I mean, that's a great thing about the kid shows. As I said, it's a 5-day schedule usually. So Monday is usually it's a really lackadaisical day. Monday is usually the table read with the actors and the kids. And then the director just has a informal rehearsal where they'll go through the whole script usually, but it's no action or anything. And if it's a big fight, then yes, I'll bring doubles in on Monday. It's a rarity that I would do that. Usually I would bring doubles in either on a Tuesday or a Wednesday to rehearse a certain scene for it. Usually it'd be on Wednesday because the network run through and they'd want to kind of see the stunt, as long as there wasn't an elaborate setup or putting someone on in a harness or something. So, it all depends on, the scene itself.
I'm curious, like, are there any, and this is total just out of not knowing at all, not having worked on kid shows or anything, but having worked in my old life in pediatrics, with kids, is there any protocol in terms of background checking or anything like that? Who's going to work with the kids? Like, are there any other safety issues about working with kids on set? Not stunt safety, but just safety. Like, who are we going to hire? Can they be with kids? Can they not be with kids? Like all that kind of stuff.
That's a good question, actually. The entire crew actually does go through a background check. I have to fill out a form. And then they send it out to a company that does a background check on all the regular crew. I don't think they do that with like the day players. I'd like to believe that they don't, but for the regular crew that's, on pretty much the whole season, they do background checks on all the crew to make sure there aren't any issues, with regards to things like that, which I think is a good idea, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Cause we had to do that obviously in pediatrics and, all that kind of who's working with your kids kind of thing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
And a lot of times too, when I'm working with the kid actors, I want the parents there. If not the parent, the studio teacher. One of those two always have to be there with me whenever I'm doing anything with the kids.
Well, sure. I mean, that's just smart.
Yeah.
That's It's so funny. It's like, even when I'm on the playground, like my wife, she's always like, why do you get so weird when there are other people's kids around? And I'm like, because they're not here and I'm not going near their kids. I'm like, there's someone else's kids. Like, I'm not jumping to take their kid off a swing because they're doing it wrong.
Right.
I'm like, so I just ignore them. I'm not touching near kids that aren't mine for that exact reason.
Yeah. No, it was the same with my daughter when I bring her to the playground as well. I was, 24/7 watching every little movement, or a lot of times try to be within arms, if not more length.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you worked, and this was a question actually that Paul came up with when we were kind of prepping for this. Have you worked with kids not on a kid show? Like on, let's say, a movie, a feature that had kid stars or that wasn't a quote unquote made for children show. And how is that any different, or is there any difference, or is it all kind of the same?
It's all kind of the same, because a kid is a kid, and I'm going to treat the kid the same way, whether it's on a kid show, whether it's on a movie, whether it's on a regular sitcom or a drama, because I did several Disney shorts that I coordinated, and one was with kids. A 9-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid had to take a fall down to the pavement. He was playing basketball. So, and they wanted to use him, and there's no way I could have found a double for him. I mean, the kid was like not even 4 foot tall. So, we set up a nice pad, and I just worked with him. The parent was right there. And so it doesn't matter. To answer your question, no, I'm going to treat the kid the same regardless of whatever the job is about.
Cool. So what do you got coming up in the future, Larry, besides more softball games?
Nothing really. I mean, I just worked on For All Mankind.
I love that show so much.
Yeah, I love
that show.
We just did a huge riot scene, so I got to work on that for a few days this past week. As I said, the only thing I have, which I'm not holding my breath on, is the movie that's supposed to start in November. If that happens, great. I have a commercial, for one day. If that happens again as well. Otherwise, another remodel on the house.
There you go. Hey, but before we wrap up, though, I do want to ask you, because I think we mentioned it in the intro, that you're one of the co-governors of the Television Academy Stunt Peer Group.
You did?
Well, no, yeah, before you got on. We told everybody. We gave them the 411 on you. But
we talked so much shit.
Good.
Yeah.
I expected that. There's a lot of shit about me, so no, I'm kidding.
There you go. But so please tell us, what are some of the benefits of getting involved in the Academy? I mean, you're very passionate about it.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad. I mean, it's mostly good, and that's why I do it. I joined the Television Academy, I want to say, in the early 2000s, maybe 2006, 2007. And I wasn't really doing much about it, taking advantage of some of the benefits of being a member of it. And then it wasn't until several years later when I was asked to join the peer group executive committee, which is made up of it should be made up of working stunt performers and or coordinators. And those are the ones that help make decisions for the peer group along with the two governors. And 3 years ago, one of the governors came up to me who was terming out, and they said, I talked with the other governor. We think you'd be a great candidate to be a governor once I term out. So I thought about.
So terming out, there's a term. What's the term? Like 3 years?
You're allowed 2 consecutive 2-year terms, so you can serve up to 4 years as a governor. Then you have to take 1 year off. Then you can come back and be a governor again if you so want to and choose, and you run against someone else if someone else wants to be a governor as well. But, to me, my big thing is, as a big thank you to you, and I'm going to plug you for a second, Stephen, is I'm all about taking care of our family. To me, the stunt community is a family. Whether we have good people in it or bad people in it, I still look at us as a family. And you've been very generous and kind to help me do my memorial, which became a passion project of mine over 10 years ago when I lost a very dear close friend. And when I lost a close friend who's a stunt guy, I realized there really wasn't anything to remember our people every year. And to me, it was important for our community to remember our friends who have, passed, unfortunately, by whatever means. And you've been so generous and kind to help edit it all for me. And without you, it wouldn't be a project. And I first off want to recognize you and thank you so much for that. Even though this is supposed to be about me, I'm not going to make it all about me. but to me, it's
good.
about,
I always try and get Steve to take credit. So it's good that you're doing this.
No, I wanted to, because it's important to me. And Steve knows that I do that. I always recognize him when we do it, because to me, it's important to know that it's a team effort. It doesn't matter that I came up with the idea. It's still a team effort between the both of us. And it's not about taking credit for it. It's about the project itself. And that's the way I look at anything I get involved with. Being a governor, I want to make a difference at the Television Academy for the stunt peer group, which we've done. Eddie Perez, who's most of you know, he's a phenomenal guy. I've known him for many years. He's my co-governor. And he and I, just even this last year, 2 years ago, we completely rewrote the whole submission process, for instance, for the stunt people to make it easier and more efficient for people to submit, because we want people to submit. We want coordinators to submit for comedy and for drama. We want individuals to submit for best individual performance. And I don't push membership on anybody. I just tell people about it and leave it up to them to join. I mean, there's a lot of benefits from becoming a member of the stunt peer group, from mixers to, and it's not just within our own community, it's mixers with all the other different peer groups, from producers, directors, cinematographers, drip electricians, editors, I can go on, science and technology, production executives. It's not just
I'm still friends. I still talk. When we were out in LA, we went to the For Your Consideration screening. We met that the VFX guy. Yeah, he and I still talk to this day.
Oh, good. Was he a governor or just a regular?
No, he was just a member.
Oh,
just
cool.
A member. Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's important, and it's just there's so many opportunities there for people too. I mean, as far as membership into the Television Academy, and as I know you are as well, I've been a member of both the LA and the National Stunt and Safety Committee for SAG, which I've been involved with for about 8 to 10 years. And I'm the type of person that if I get involved with something, I'm going to try to make something happen. If I can't accomplish something to happen to better us as a community, then I'm going to step aside at the end of the day. So far, being governor, it's been challenging because, they ask a lot out of us. They ask us to volunteer on at least 3 committees a year. And some of those committees, we're meeting once a month. There's a lot of work behind them. Some committees are only 2 or 3 meetings, so we're done. But other ones, will last the whole year. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying, trying to increase our membership. I'm trying to, hopefully I'm going to go to Georgia in December of this year to try to increase the membership. And I know, Steve, you and I have talked about it, and I'll make a trip out to New York at some point as well, because I just think it's just such a huge benefit for our community for us to be active. And even just as a member, as well.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of members don't know some of the benefits. So obviously I will explain the benefits to them. And, they can also possibly be on some of these groups, some of these committees as well, because it doesn't mean just because you're a governor, it's not just governors on these committees at the Television Academy. And they have committees, up the wazoo. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, man. I wanted to make sure we got that out there because, I feel like you said, a lot of people aren't aware of everything that's great about it, and so that's cool, dude.
I did have another question.
Oh, you sure? I thought the time ran out. Is it the time? I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I do.
I'm teasing.
But this is like one of those weird questions. Have you had a kid that you've worked with that has come back to you in the future as a stunt person?
A child actor?
Yeah. Have you had an actor that you've worked with, and then later on you came,
work with them as an adult?
Work with them as an adult, and they were a stunt person.
Not as a stunt person, but as an actor, yes. I've never had a child actor come to it. And then the other thing,
because I was wondering, you always have like, I want to do my own stunts. Did any of them actually serious?
Yeah, no, they just for their own shows they were serious about it. But another thing, real quickly too, is a lot of times. Most of the time, the networks won't allow you to bring in stunt kids, meaning children of stunt performers who have proper training. I'm not sure if it's more of a liability reason or not, but they don't. They want you to bring in someone who's at least 18 years of age or older. On occasion, I do see that, though, where I do see postings where stunt kids are okay with showing their reels and stuff. But most of the time, I know Disney and Nickelodeon, they don't allow it.
Seems that ability wouldn't, someone's ability wouldn't go into the difference of liability. I don't know if that makes any sense, but age is age.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that line would have to be drawn on. It doesn't matter how good you are. You're fucking 12.
Yeah.
True, but then that 12-year-old is doing flips on his 50cc dirt bike.
Yeah, exactly. And his dad's like fucking Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll see you both soon.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Film Fights with Friends is brought to you by Breakfall Studios. Executive producers Stephen Kepfer, Paul Veracci, Tiago Benedetti. Produced by Press Record Studios with Corey Gums. Associate producers Becca GT and Jared DeCroce. Edited by Matthew Kaplowitz. Original music by Aru Luster.